Hello, I am Mr. Orange and this is video hashtag 495. In this video, I'll be talking about 16. I'll be talking about 16 season 1 episode 5. It's called Deck the Mall. It's a Christmas episode. I do like the episode title. It's a pun for Deck the Hall. We just hope this is the only Christmas episode. In the first scene, we have Jen working for Christmas. We can see that she's dealing with so much stress. She has to commit to all of customers' demands. Meanwhile, Kaylin is shopping for Christmas for her friends. After dealing with all the stress, Jen vents her frustration in an elevator. After the intro, Jen is feeling a bit snappish. She reveals the truth to Jude and Caitlin. Jen's mother and Jonesy's father are dating. I do feel sorry for her. I can see how it makes awkward for her and Jonesy, especially considering that they are friends. I do feel that the parents should have consulted the kids first before dating. Like, talk this out with the kids. And then Jen mentions Jonesy's brothers. I literally hate them. They make Jen's life miserable. And what's worse, Jonesy is the ringleader. I also kind of dislike how the show depicts brothers. Like, Jen mentions how like boys makes a bathroom go sound stinky. And then Kaylin asked Jude if they are all like that, and Jude said pretty much. Which isn't entirely true. Like, it's definitely not true for me. I always keep my bathroom hygienic. Like, you don't know how conscious I am when I'm using like public bathrooms. I also don't understand guys who stand up and pee. Why can't you sit down and pee? Like, when you're standing up, the pee goes everywhere. Obviously gonna sit down and pee. Sorry for my little rant, but it's true. Kaylin does try to cheer Jen up. She kind of makes a plan, maybe Jen could hang out with her. Like, maybe the friends could hang out with each other instead of Jen having to put up with the family traditions. I was just thinking, why doesn't Jen just hang out with Caitlin instead of with her family? Caitlin does force Jen to wear a Christmas hat, which I do feel is a bit kind of forced. I do feel like Caitlin does force toxic positivity sometimes. But I do understand she just wants to cheer Jen up. Like, when you're cheering someone up, you do it for them, not for yourself. In the next scene, Nikki comes in, and she finally fills in with the scoop about Jen and Jonesy. So about now, they all know now. Also, it's funny in this scene, Jude trying to like package a ball. The solution would be like put the ball in a bag and tie up the bag. According to Jen, at home they're going to have a turkey eating contest and she's not into it. Like, if I was Jen, I would tell Jonesy about it. In the 8th minute, we finally find Wyatt. He's grumpy because he hasn't had coffee yet and it spilled all over his top. He's definitely one of those coffee people. I mean, he's 16 and he's addicted to coffee. Like, someone needs to take Wyatt to rehab. We then see Jonesy in a Christmas elf outfit. He works as Santa's secret helper. They laugh at him because they think Jonesy looks ridiculous in the outfit. I didn't think Jonesy looked ridiculous. I think he looked fun and sexy. Everyone seemed grumpy, but looking at Jonesy made them cheered up. In the next scene, Wyatt and Jude are looking for a present for Caitlin. And Jude finds a Love Me sweater for Caitlin. I got to say, I do love Jude and Caitlin's friendship. They're so cute. They're like children. Jen is so frustrated about this family traditions. I understand her problem though. I wouldn't want to be in a tradition either. She's so mad that she snapped at Santa Claus. Not gonna lie, I did find that funny.
In the next scene, Stanley passes Jonesy in front of the Yummy Mummy and gets fired. I do hate Stanley, he's such a bratty kid. But this is kind of Jonesy's fault because he was hitting on the Yummy Mummy. Like, don't start hitting on girls when you're supposed to be working. Also, don't get easily offended by a little kid.
In the next scene, everyone is feeling grumpy. Sometimes I don't feel bad for Jonesy at all. Like he's more bummed out that he didn't scar Yummy Mummy over the fact that he got fired. Like, pick your priorities, mate. And Jonesy is continuously doing his perverted ways. Caitlin made some eggnog candy cane smoothie, but it was totally disgusting for the gang. I don't know, I'm kind of curious to try something like that. Jonesy has an idea. He suggests they can all see a movie. So Caitlin and Jonesy pushes them for a movie night. So the gang go to the movies, which is in the mall. A lot of people were at the movies. We had a little funny scene. There was a cafe with coffee in it, and Wyatt was excited to go there, but people were lined up. So he was shocked when there were so many people in the line. But I'm telling you, Wyatt needs to go to a rehab or something. So the gang argue about what movies they want to watch. Jonesy seems like he wants to watch a spy movie. Jen seems like she wants to watch a movie about rock climbing. Or maybe she's into survival type movies. And Wyatt's movie choice is probably a book adaptation. Because he mentioned something about, the gang don't know how to read or something. And Nikki mentions it's a 3-hour movie. Who would want to watch a 3-hour movie? And Drew's movie choice is Talk 2, which seems like a Fast and Furious type of movie. And I think Nikki mentioned Vin Diesel. So yeah, you can decide what those movies are about. So the gang can't decide which movies they can choose, and Kayla decides to draw straws, and Jude wins. So they're spending time watching a Fast and Furious movie. In the next scene, they arrive at the movies. All the seats are taken, which means they have to sit on the floor. Which means not all of them are enjoying the movies. Especially not Jen, who sat on her gum. And she's kind of mad at Jonesy for leaving the toilet seat up. But could you imagine though? I kind of agree with Jonesy here. Could you imagine the toilet seat being touched by everyone's bottom? But I also agree with Jen here. He shouldn't leave the toilet seat up. Put it back down. Let's be courteous in the house. Caitlin tries to calm everyone down, especially Jen. She's trying so hard for everyone to enjoy the movie. Caitlin also sees a hot guy and flirts with him. But she accidentally sits on a skating board and she rolls down. Jude goes after her to help her up. The gang are too noisy and ruins the experience for everyone, so they get kicked out. And at the end, Nikki spoils the movie for them. In the next scene, the gang get lost in a hallway from the Gigantoplex. I think Jonesy takes them in a shortcut. It confuses me how they would have got lost in this hallway. How did they get into the movies? Shouldn't they just go back the same way they came from? It just doesn't make sense. But I feel like I have to hate Jonesy for acting like he knows what he's doing. I can't understand other guy's frustration. He's just so arrogant. As soon as the gang arrive at the food court, they realize they are locked in. Apparently the mall closes at 3. But this bit doesn't make sense to me. If they are locked in, how about the people at the movies? Wouldn't they be locked in too? And why didn't they look for a security guard or something? But that's not the only bad news. Their presents get stolen. And this whole thing makes Caitlin cry like a banshee. I really hate it when Caitlin cries. It's so annoying. I know I'm being hard on her for just because she's crying, but why did they make her make that noise? And the crying sounds so fake and false too. You can tell the voice actress is going too much with it. Josie has some nerve to be don't put blame on anyone else here, but he's obviously indirectly blaming Jen. I mean, it was Jonesy's idea for this movie thing, which I think is a good thing because I think like so that everyone can be happy. So it's not even a bad idea that he wanted that movie in the first place. And it is kind of Jen's fault that, like, yes, she burst out in the movies for sitting on a gum, but can you blame her? I feel like their sibling rivalry led to this. And you can tell that like Caitlyn was trying so hard for like everyone to get along. I personally don't understand how Jen and Josie could be friends from now on. Like, they have so much beef as siblings moving forward. Like, how are you two friends? Like, this friendship doesn't work because they don't respect each other's boundaries. Like, you either have to work out your issues or never be friends anymore. But if moving forward, like Jen and Josie get in beef so many times. This does remind me of like the show called Friends. Like the gang is so codependent on each other. Like their mutual friends have to pick a side on who they should hang with. And from the get-go, Jen and Josie's friendship could never work because there are so many heats and fights all the time. Like their friendship is so toxic. And you kind of have to blame Josie more for this because he just makes Jen's life miserable. And he's so narcissistic, he never takes responsibility for his actions or take ownership for whatever he does. I wouldn't say narcissistic, but I would say he's more egotistical. But I think Josie needs to learn a lot. And I'm only being soft now, but watching the future, like, I would be hard on him in the future. Like he's a total piece of work in the future. I also can't understand Kane's point of view, but it's kind of none of her business. Jen doesn't like being in these big parties. Like, she doesn't have to be part of these traditions if she doesn't want to. And to be clear, they are a family of 5 siblings. And yes, they should try to get along. But that's kind of impossible. Even if they compromise, Josie and his brothers make it so bad for her. So I don't understand why, like, Caitlyn's crying about this. And yes, I can see her point of view. She's like an only child, and Jen and Josie are a family of 5. So I can see that she's kind of envious of that. I, however, don't think she's empathizing with Jen here. I feel like Caitlyn is more thinking about herself in the situation. And I'm not being mad at Caitlyn here either. I can understand Caitlyn's point of view. But I really think she should put like Jen's feelings into this. Not only she has like annoying brothers, but Jen also has an annoying older sister named Courtney. Like she has to put up with her as well. Like Courtney hasn't arrived yet at this point in making of these videos. We will see her in the future, but you know, when we do meet her, she will know that like she's absolute garbage. Like you got to feel bad for Jen. And yes, Jen can have her own problems too. Like she isn't flexible. She's kind of like miserable all the time. But you kind of have to understand her point of view. But she's having to live with Courtney and her stepbrothers. And if Caitlyn is like she is an only child, why doesn't Jen not like live with Caitlyn? They're obviously good best friends and they stick with each other all the time. So why doesn't Jen just like live with Caitlyn? And they like it's not like she can miss Courtney or her stepbrothers. Like she can always visit them. I feel like Jen needs to prioritize her well-being and mental health. And this is a small thing. Don't these guys have sleepovers with each other? Like I understand like not every friendships have sleepovers. I definitely didn't have any sleepovers. But Caitlyn and Jen strike me as friends that would have sleepovers with each other. I don't know, but that's how they come across to me. And they do mention a couple of times in this show, like they've been friends since kindergarten. Like Nikki mentioned it in the second episode. So wouldn't these people naturally like hang out with each other's homes and stuff? Like why wouldn't Jen not hang with Nikki? Like she's another girl in the group that she could have totally like lived with or something. And I do understand in the far future, like Nikki and Jan do stay with each other, and they do have their problems. But I think their problems could have been easily resolved. And side note, I think like the reason why Nikki and is having problems with Jan is that she's also having to like stick with like 5 other people in the house. So like imagine that 6 person like living with them. So I can understand. The gang finally settle their arguments and starts to calm down. They kind of finish it off with a nice moment. And Judah and Wyatt kind of cheer Kaylin up for her crying. However, Wyatt has an idea. Since Jonesy was a security guard, he kind of has a copy of the security key, which means they can go home. I know this is a cartoon, but if this was real life, I don't think this is how it will work. Also, don't any of them have like a phone or something? Couldn't they not call their parents or something? Since they have a key, they have a choice to leave home. However, they also have a choice to stick around, and that's what they do. So they basically spend the whole day at the mall. And again, I know this is a cartoon, and this is like going free, do whatever you want. But if this was real life, they would have been arrested for this. Or at least sent to juvie or something. Like since they are teenagers. But you could also, this is like trespassing. But this is kind of like what you would think about when you're younger. Like, oh, maybe what if we like stuck in a mall? Would we like take these things? So I would give it a pass for the childhood fantasy. But it wouldn't fly in real life. We then get a montage of the guys spending time at Grimy and taking pictures of themselves. I do like the Christmas music as I watch the montage. It's just so wholesome and cute. They also found their lost presents at the Lost and Found. And they keep their presents in the Lost and Found. They all celebrate and they go back home. What a great way to end their moment. In the end, they're back in the food cart. And everyone seems to be happy with themselves. And apparently to Jan, she won the turkey eating contest. However, Jonesy humiliates Jan in front of the gang for stinking the bathroom. So basically, Jonesy learned nothing about respecting Jan, so he's a total jerk. He's just a bad friend. And towards the end of the episode, they kind of like get shocked about Boxing Day. I didn't understand the ending of this episode. Like, why was there an earthquake at the end of the episode when they mentioned Boxing Day? I'm not sure if the writers know what a Boxing Day is. It's nothing to do with earthquakes. I'm also shocked that they knew about Boxing Day. I thought this was kind of like a British thing, but it seems like it's a Canadian thing too. Let me know if you have Boxing Day in your country. Anyway, that's it for this video. I did enjoy making this video. I think the highlight of this episode is definitely the photo montage scene of them hanging out in Grimy. However, my least favorite thing about this episode is definitely Jonesy's behavior. Like, he's totally oblivious to Jan's feelings. And he's such a bad friend and a bad brother towards Jan. And I can see that like Jan is trying hard for Jonesy, but at this point there's no point in when you have a brother like Jonesy. And what I'm saying now is just whatever, but in the future he's gonna get worse, let me tell you that. And looking at the fan base, I can understand why he is probably like the most unpopular character. I mean, I get it. He's kind of like the fun character. He makes the most funny jokes, and he does have decent moments. But I think like the reason why we kind of loathe Jonesy is the fact that he's kind of a worse person towards Jan. And I think it would be kind of enabling if you blame both Jan and Jonesy, because Jan did nothing wrong in this scenario whatsoever. Like, I can see why you would put Jan in the blame, but I think not. Like she has been patient throughout the show. And sometimes Jonesy does test her patience sometimes. So yes, I can totally say that it's never Jan's fault. Like yes, there are moments where it is her fault, but I would place it mostly on Jonesy. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Anyways, have a lovely day.